uppercut, uppercut, sonic boom! G'day humans, today we are breaking down the Ace32 versus the M416. I have measured the recoil pixel by pixel. I have got a hip fire graph so that you know how the hip fire works. I have measured the bullet speed, the rate of fire, and I've also looked at what are the best attachments for you to run with the Ace32, and we're going to get right to it, and we're going to compare it to the M416. Now, why the M416? Because everyone uses the M416. Well, not me, but most of you grubs do. So it gives you a fair idea on exactly where the Ace sits. We've done the AUG, we've done the SCAR-L, we're doing the Ace. Leave a comment below for the gun that you'd like to see sorted next and compared to the M416 so that we can get some kind of idea on what the player base is after. And if you would also do me a big favor and like and subscribe to the channel. We're getting more subscribers, we're on the uptick, and we're getting more views, and we're getting more likes and more comments. I want to see interaction. Get to it, you grubs. So, the Ace32, what's it like? Well, it's a pretty unique weapon. I think the Ghetto Graza is pretty close to the truth. It rates a very, very solid 687 rounds a minute, which is pretty good compared to the M416's 638. And not only does it fire about 50 rounds a minute faster, which is just under 10%, it also does 45 base damage to the M419's 40.9. So you're looking at about just under 10% base damage. So more base damage, more rate of fire means a faster time to kill. And that's where the Ace really excels. Close to mid-range, time to kill, and CQC. Where the Ace falls down is anything over this kind of range, it can be difficult. The reason for that is because what the Ace doesn't have is good bullet speed. The bullet speed for the Ace is about 697 meters a second. 697 meters a second is well under the M4's 909. I think the SCAR came in at about 850 and the AUG is also 909. So if they're standing stationary like that, great, you can nail them with the Ace. But if they're moving left to right, you have to lead by a lot more than you would if someone was running around with an M416. This is where it excels, in the tight. Now, most of the people I killed while using the Ace, and I use it a lot this week. I ran a lot of Ace32 and I actually got used to it, and I found I could do pretty much everything I needed to do with the gun. Most of the people I killed in CQC were running M416s or shotguns, okay? Now, it's better than the M416 by a mile in CQC. It's just a flat out more damaging weapon. .376 is your time to kill with a M416 versus a level 2 vest. That's how long it takes to clear that vest. .267 is a time to kill for an Ace32. Now that's a huge difference. There's like a 25% increase or decrease in time to kill. But look at this. Look at how freaking hard this thing kicks when you try and spray with it. I was so disappointed. This is the recoil test. In the Ace32's recoil, when I first did this, that I was really not looking forward to running the gun. Because after measuring the distance in between each pixel, I realized that the Ace has just got the most horrific recoil. The Ace has 37% worse horizontal recoil and 28% worse vertical recoil than the M416. Yeah, those are whopping, really unimpressive numbers and quite scary. And because of that, when I did those vertical recoil numbers, I was very worried about running this gun. But it performed really well. And one of the reasons it performed really well was I took the time to do two things. Get the right attachments, because there's a couple of attachments you have to have for this gun. And I also didn't try and do things with it that it wasn't good at. By the way, one of the most underrated iron sights in the game. I really, really like the Ace's iron sights. It's kind of a good SCAR-L iron sight, if that makes any sense to you. So, what what do you need to put on this thing? Well, I'm going to get to that in just a second. But first and foremost, I want to show you the hip fire. Now, of the AUG, the SCAR, the M416, the ACE has by far the worst recoil. The middle one is the M416. The left one is the AUG, and the right one is the ACE 32. If we overlay them, you'll see that the field of hipfire field for the ACE 32 is far larger than the hipfire field for the AUG, and much larger again than that of the M416. This wasn't a particularly bad spray, but you can see that the AUG has a lot more centered in terms of its hipfire. Now, the AUG can also afford to run a laser sight and improve that hipfire to crazy levels, almost SMG levels of hipfire, which is pretty impressive. The ACE can't do that, and this is where we get to the attachments. To make the ACE 32 work, the most important thing you can do is mount a heavy stock. Once you mount a heavy stock, everything else is going to be easy. You mount a heavy stock, and they can be the hardest thing to find. Then you mount an angled grip, and then you put a barrel extender or a muzzle brake on it, as is your want. If you've got the recoil sorted without a muzzle brake, it's not really going to be worthwhile for you. You won't be spraying at long range with the ACE. If you are, you're wasting your time because there are other guns that can do it better. The ACE is not a versatile AR. It is absolutely all about CQC and close range red dot ADS sprays. Because PUBG Mobile went ham on adjusting the stats on the grips and the stocks, the heavy stock has transformed the ACE's gameplay. All of these games you're going to see me running AR barrel extender, heavy stock, and an angle grip. Angle grip is about a flat 18% recoil reduction, horizontal recoil reduction from your grip slot. And then the heavy stock runs you about 20% horizontal recoil reduction and 10% vertical recoil reduction. You put those two together with an AR barrel extender and you get a gun that is doing 46 base damage to a chest area shot, as well as popping another nearly 40% horizontal recoil reduction and 10% vertical recoil reduction. And even though that doesn't take you down far enough to make it a great spray gun, and the bullet speed will never let you get there anyway, it means that you're getting a genuine ghetto grazer. It does monumentally well in close range hipfire situations. And because unlike the AK, you can mount both a barrel, a lower rail, and a stock attachment, you can do so much more to the base weapon. It's one of the weapons that really, really scales up with your attachments. Well, it doesn't do so great without them. I find that if you run it on Rondo, you're going to be much better off because you can buy heavy stocks and barrel extenders, and you can buy not heavy stocks, sorry, barrel extenders and angle grips if you want to get them. Hell, you could run an ergonomic grip. You could run a half grip with this gun. They're all excellent options. But as you get further and further away from the target, vertical recoil becomes more and more of a problem if you've got a lot of them. Even if you control the horizontal recoil on the ACE 32, when a target is 150 meters away, they're much smaller, and higher horizontal recoil, while being a problem, doesn't kill the opportunity to spray as much as vertical recoil. Some people claim you need to run a vertical grip with this gun. I just don't think you do. I think the horizontal recoil is so poor, you absolutely have to... Oh my god, what was this guy doing? We'd looted half of Danqing, and I just walked in here and found that guy. Whatever. The ACE 32, you should really look at giving this a go. If you like running a bolt-action rifle, this is actually a pretty good gun for it. I mean, you'll see a filthy little head spray here as Barry goes around the corner. That's a very nice little number. You're going to lose some games just because you don't have 5.56 bullet speed, and that means your rounds get to the target slower than their rounds get to you. But all in all, this was a hugely refreshing and fun gun to run, and I can highly recommend it if you set it up right. Please follow, like, subscribe, do all those things. Look after yourselves. Be nice to each other. Stay safe from the battlefield. And let me know what gun you'd like to see next. Au revoir, amigos.